Hey everyone, so today we're going to do a little something different. We're going to kind of talk you through the steps of putting gear and making the gear that our Raptors wear. So I'm sure some of you have seen it in all these videos. Some of you have even asked about it. So what it is these are what people refer to as anklets. So it's what goes around the bird's ankle, basically. So it would be kind of like a dog's collar, except instead of putting it around the neck, we put it around their feet. And so there's kind of two styles that you can use. You can either use the style that kind of goes through each other, and then you don't really have to restrain the bird. You can kind of just hold it on your hand and you're able to put these on. Or the other style is you can actually not have these grommets in already, not have these slits in there, and then actually grommet it to the bird. That way it's not really removable unless you cut it off. So we use both styles around here. It just kind of depends on the individual bird. And then these are called Jesses. And so it's basically like the dog's leash, except they wear it all the time here at our facility. And so we would actually clip a longer leash to that. But just when we're out here around working, we can actually clip this to our glove. And then that way, if they try and go somewhere, they actually can't unless they take our glove with them. Which hopefully our volunteers don't let them do that. And so it's just a way that we can kind of control them, make sure that they're not going anywhere that they're not supposed to, and making sure that really they're not grabbing us. Most of them aren't going to try to. They're all very used to us. They're comfortable with us. But in that one situation that maybe a bird's having a bad day, or even maybe a volunteer makes the wrong move or something, if you've got control of their feet, you can make sure that they can't grab you in the shoulder or the hands unless you put your hand in the wrong spot. So today we're going to kind of make a little bit more equipment. We're running a little bit low in some of our stockpiles. So we've got 3/8 strips here, 5/16 strips here, 1/4 inch strips here, and then 3/16 inch strips here, except I'm empty. So I need to make some more 3/16 inch strips. We try and keep a little bit of a stockpile, that way if anything happens, we've kind of got our stockpile that we can go to. And then we also keep a stockpile in each individual bird's drawer. And so we've got drawers for each of our birds, and we try and keep a spare case, spare set of both anklets and jesses in there. That way, if one of them breaks, we can go to their drawer, we can put it on, and then we're ready to move on. But like I said, we need to make some more 3/16 inch strips so we can fill up this box a little bit more. So this is a leather stripper. Basically, it's just got a razor in there, and I can set it to whatever size, whatever width I want, and then we can use it on this leather. We've actually got two different kinds of leather. So if I put these on the floor, we've actually got, this is actually called Kodiak leather. It's a little bit thinner. This stuff is Austin double shoulder. The kind of more tan, lighter colored one is Austin double shoulder. That's a little bit thicker. We use it more on the eagles. And it's also what our lures, the ones that we use on game day, they're made out of this Austin double shoulder leather. We'll probably, in a different video, we'll probably show you a little bit of how we make those lures, talk a little bit more about those. But today, like I said, I want to work on some of those leather strips so we can fill up that. And it's going to be a 3/16 size. And so I'm actually going to cut out 1/4 inch leather, because that extra allows that grommet not to go all the way to the sides. And so we kind of label it as the size grommet that it's fit for. So a 3/8 strip leather is actually bigger than 3/8, but it will fit a 3/8 inch grommet in there. And so I'm going to actually set this leather stripper to 1/4 inch, and that way it's going to be the appropriate size for that 3/16 inch grommet. So we also have a good pair of scissors here, but usually this leather stripper will go down the entire length of it and you really don't have too many problems. Now, I actually want to start on this end. It's actually got a better point for me to start on. You can see it's basically just a whole half of a cow. So it's taller than I am. We're going to start at the very top. I try and keep one straight side. That way, when I'm doing these strips, I've got that one straight side. If I need to do some scraps or something, I can take it from this other side. But I try and keep this one side straight. That way, I can easily cut out one of these strips. Now, I've got one long strip of leather. At the very top, I usually cut it off a little bit because to get started, usually it's a little bit wider than the rest, just from not being precise when you make that start cut. But the rest of it should be pretty much the exact same width all the way down. There might be a couple little jagged spots, but I usually tell my volunteers that if they see a spot that's a little bit wider than the others, that their eyes need to get checked, because I always make perfectly straight cuts. It's never my fault. But now we have one long strip of 3/16 leather. And so like I said, it's a really long side that we can do. Usually with this, you're going to do a lot of the anklets for some of the smaller birds, like the screech owls, the American kestrel, birds like that are usually what you're going to use this for. But you can also make jesses out of this. It's a little bit thin because when you punch a hole in it to clip it to the leash, there's not too much on the sides to give it a little bit of extra strength. And so we don't use it too much for jesses, but we can use it for those jesses. So I'm going to put this in this box before I forget what size it is. Got a little bit of 1/4, 3/8 are kind of one of our more commonly used sizes. So I've got a good bit of that. 5/16 is actually what I usually use for the jesses. So this is actually a strip that's been used for jesses before. So how you would make a jess is you would take this 5/16 leather. It works really well for like the great horned owl, the red-tailed hawks, birds like that. And then what you do is you fold the one flat side twice, and then you get your hole punch and figure out this one has the largest size hole that we can punch. So fold that top side twice, and then you'll find the middle piece and punch all the way through those 3 pieces of leather. Just to make it a little bit easier, I go back in, I widen them up just a little bit more. As I tell my volunteers, a smidge, and they always question me, what is a smidge? And it's a precise unit of measurement that I use. And then you'll fold it again, so you'll fold it back those 3 times, and now you've got that hole in the middle, and then you take your other end that's got the point to it, pull it through all 3 of those holes that you just made. Let's see, try and grab that in there, pull it all the way through. Sometimes you might need pliers to help you. If I get my pliers, I've got this started on this side, so I can open it up, grab onto that, pull it through, pull that tight. Got a really long Jess. You don't need a Jess that's that long. And so you kind of just figure out how long you want it. Depends on the bird. Some of them might get longer Jesses than the others. But for this, about that long is all I want. And so then I can punch a hole at the bottom, which again, that's where we'll clip in to our glove, or if we're putting a longer leash on them when we're doing a show, so we can handle them better. Clip that, or punch that hole in there, and then you've got one Jess. If I wanted to make a pair, I basically cut off this top side, make it flat again, and then I do the whole process over again and make sure that I get it the exact same length as this one. If they're not the same length, then when the bird jumps, the one that's shorter is going to get all the weight pulled on it. And so you want to make sure that they're the same length. That way, one leg isn't getting all the force from that jump pulled on that one leg. Kind of space them out between the two legs. And so that's kind of how we would make those Jesses. Anklets, like I said, they're pretty much basic. It's just it's just a piece of leather that we will grommet to the bird's legs. So you got to get the proper size of it. Like I said, we've got templates in each of our bird's drawers, and so we kind of know what size each of them are. And then we also have a spare set. And so that's just a strip of leather that's sized for that bird, whatever size grommet they need. And then these Jesses are what will go through the anklet. And so like this one, what you do is if this one's around the bird's leg, you put this Jess through those grommets, and now you can control the bird a lot easier. So like I said, it's basically like a dog's leash and collar, except instead of going around their neck, you put it around their legs. So our birds wear them at all times. It's just easier for us to do it that way. It's a little bit safer for everyone to do it that way. But other facilities may not have them on at all times unless they're maybe handling those birds. But our birds wear them the entire time. You can also use rope style. And so we do have some that we purchase from other people that are rope. So you can use that. Just depends, again, on the bird. The screech owls are really small that we kind of like to use these rope ones on them just because it's a little bit lighter weight. Not as heavy as these leather Jesses are. And then some of our birds we actually pick at and destroy the leather. And so we have to give them the rope ones that they don't destroy as easy. They won't pick at them as easy. Some of them even pick at these rope ones. Nova, he picks at these cuffs. And so we've actually had to go to ordering cuffs for him that are a lot higher quality than I can make here. And so he actually gets cuffs from a business over in England that makes these really nice cuffs that are stitched. And they hold up a lot better than the ones that I can make, but I just can't do all the stitching. I don't have time for that, or really even the skills to be able to stitch these cuffs like he needs to prevent him from destroying them basically every week. And so we buy him those from England. So we spend a lot of money on his equipment, but I guess he deserves it. He's put in his time, so we'll spend a lot of money on him, making sure that he can't destroy his equipment. So that's pretty much how you would make anklets and Jesses. A little bit more about them since you've been seeing them on all these birds these last couple of weeks. So hopefully you enjoyed learning a little bit more about that, the gear that these birds wear. Like I said, one of these future videos we'll probably talk to you a little bit more about the lures that we use on game day. So there's one, let's see, there's one right there. That's actually, that's one of Aria's, yeah, that's the first lure that Aria actually ever flew to on game day. So we actually made two of them. We'll talk more about that when we get on those. But the Eagles also on game day wear a unique set of Jesses and Inklings, and then we auction them off after each game. And so again, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we go into the lures that we use, kind of why we use them, how we make them, all that stuff. But hopefully you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the gear that our birds wear. Thanks for tuning in. War Eagle.